Hello Leo, and welcome to your in-depth monthly forecast for April for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you all the key dates and influences particularly relevant to your sign. Now, as this month begins, so the Sun retains its location in your sister fire sign of Aries. Jupiter, the planet of growth, is there too. And they are going to be forging a relationship this month, which is truly exciting. And I can't wait to tell you about that. But also, we have a solar eclipse, which occurs on the 20th, again in Aries. If this rings a bell, it's because this is the second new moon in Aries this year, which is very unusual, but that's all about expansion. So the next 6 months gives you an opportunity to be very much on the front foot. So looking forward to sharing that with you and so much more. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a life roadmap report which can really help you to understand some of the patterns that have played out throughout your life and get a much more intimate understanding, the more challenging ones, but also the ones that present opportunities. Understanding those patterns is a lot to do with how we can take more control of our lives. And in my special package, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast, and there's 30% off. If you don't know your time, I have designed a new set of charts which can work with that. We don't use the ascendant and we use whole sign astrology, but based on the sun. And this will help you to reflect in my videos in a very, very positive way. Again, there's 30% off if you have the analysis and the forecast. Please see below for more on that too. So Leo, as you enter April, Venus, the planet of love, but also loot, is in a tight conjunction with Uranus, the planet of surprises, but also restlessness. Now, a conjunction is where from Earth, as we see it, the two planets are side by side. So their energies influence one another. Venus, in this part of your situation, can be to do with property, can be to do with jobs, goals and ambitions. Uranus is an electric energy, but it's also very much about the truth. So maybe there is some kind of essential matter that we'll need discussing. You could also have an offer, and it may see you having more than one option, which is really exciting, but also you've got to make that decision. Now, on the 3rd, Mercury moves into the same location, the sign of Taurus, and that's going to help you to grapple with any big decision you may have. It's just that Mercury is almost immediately challenged by the very powerful energies of Pluto. Pluto is about transformations, and I feel because it's in your sector of relating, maybe there is a choice around this career or property matter that is going to be influenced by someone else's input. And someone may see it very much like you. They may challenge you in some way. Just be open to that. Now, Mars, throughout this month, is in quite a challenging location for you. It's in house 12. It has a tendency in this location to stir up old wounds and old issues that may have lain dormant that perhaps even we thought we dealt with. But it actually forges a really fine link with the sturdy Saturn in the first week. Because Mars is about thrust and Saturn about being more conservational in its approach, they balance each other very well. So if you do need to do something that requires a deep dive and careful research, I feel that your energy to investigate something through Mars is going to be supported well by Saturn. But on the 6th, we do have the full moon in the sign of Libra, which is a full moon that every year asks us all to think about our relationships. But for you, it's very much your relationships around ideas. So If there is a situation where you need to work closely with someone, and it is a very intense or stimulating environment, so there may be different ideas or philosophies that need to mesh together. If you see something in a very different way to someone else, it may come to the fore over the next 2 weeks, because Uranus forges a tense angle to the position of the Sun. But Jupiter, the planet of growth, is very close to this full moon. So if there is something you are really excited about, that is about opening up your world in some kind of way, perhaps the tension could come from someone closer to you who would prefer to maintain the status quo. But from this point in the month through to the 11th, we get the Sun and Jupiter connection building up until it reaches a peak on the 11th, which is really exciting. So Jupiter, through its rulership of Sagittarius, a fire sign like yours, is about adventure, independence, in traditional astrology, good luck. Its rulership of Pisces is much more to do with the spiritual domain. But I think for you in House 9, if you are someone who loves travel or loves to learn things that are very much to do with philosophies, this can be a very stimulating, potentially even fortunate part of your month. If you're looking to, in some way, sell an idea or to or a product, or engage in some kind of contractual discussion, it could go extremely well. It's just that from the 7th, Mercury, the planet of commerce, but of talk and thought, starts to slow down. So whatever good stuff is floating around, it's important to analyse it in a very precise way. But also on the 11th, Venus punches into the most sociable part of your scope and replaces some of the joie de vivre that you may have lost since Mars moved on from Gemini on the 25th of last month. But the great thing about this Venus position is it links beautifully with Pluto. So where Mercury quarrelled with Pluto on the 3rd, Venus is very much in a lovely angle. And this is going to give you a great opportunity to really think, but also have conversations with the people who are so meaningful for you. But in terms of your work, Mercury starts to align with Uranus from the 16th through to the 24th. Those options that I spoke about at the start of the month, there could be more. And if you are in a job and have been for some while where it feels a little bit workaday, you know it very well, but it's not very stimulating, this connection between these two influences could push you to go and do something more experimental but challenging. But that would require you to move outside your comfort zone. What can help you, however, is the solar eclipse. That's in your fellow fire sign of Aries. And for the next 6 months, it just says that in some kind of way, your life needs to be shook up, but the chances are that you can be the one doing the shaking. It's just that it does forge a square with Pluto. So once again, Pluto shows its influence. But this time, I think it's more to do with the fact that the Sun's so far towards the end of Aries. That's why we're getting the square. So it's a disassociate square. And I just feel that if there is something that you want to achieve around a goal or an ambition, the chances are you may have to in some ways change your life to really seize the moment. And that may be something that, being a fixed sign, you might resist a little bit. But if it's big enough, it really will be worth considering. Now later on the 20th, the Sun makes its way into Taurus, joining up with Uranus and also, of course, with Mercury. But then Mercury goes into its retrograde on the 21st. This is going to last to the middle of May, and its influence in the exiting post-retrograde shadow through to the end of the month, end of May. So when it comes to your career, even if you do retrace your steps, think about things afresh, analyse whether you are getting the fulfilment from it that you would like, or you're thinking again about a property matter, it wouldn't be a surprise if the whole process does play out through to the end of next month. But from the 21st to the 29th, the Sun in the 10th house of your situation, which is hugely influential, forges a great link to Saturn in the 8th. So something very solid around your career could shape up. Also, Mars, hidden away in that 12th house, links brilliantly to Uranus. So again, the things that you're doing behind the scenes, it could be reaching out to people on a confidential basis, contacting old colleagues, using old skills in a fresh and innovative way, Uranus. So I feel that despite Mercury's retrograde, some kind of reset is coming for you, and it is to do with raising your profile and achieving the acclaim and recognition that's actually very important to you at the best of times. But the chances of going for it are really dependent on your will to be more thrust in, more experimental and more adventurous. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Leo. Please like, comment or subscribe.